Hi, and welcome to the What Drives You podcast here at Paper Transport. I'm Keith Stelzer, our Vice President of Safety and Recruiting, and joining me today is Ben Schill, our CEO. Welcome, Ben.
Well, hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. What's going on?
Well, today we wanted to splice in a quick update with some of the big things that have happened the last week and a half, right, with our industry, and thought we could drop something in here and kind of stay on topic about, what's going on with the market. So let's start there first. What do you think right now is happening, and with some of the big news out there, what's your pulse at this moment?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would say what's happening, a whole lot of nothing. I mean, we've been kind of skipping sideways here for probably about 14 weeks, and it's just been, relatively stagnant. Volumes I don't think are dropping anymore. Rates are probably at the bottom, but we're just not seeing any jolts that are going to bring this thing to a different spot anytime soon. We hear a lot about capacity dropping out of the market. I just don't believe it's dropped out at it has not dropped out at the pace that we've been used to in the industry. So it's just been kind of a ho-hum market. We're hearing a little bit of tidbits from customers that maybe they're expecting a slight uptick in the fourth quarter, but that's really varied. It depends on what industry and what it is. So what's happening? Kind of a whole lot of nothing.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting. And as you think about that, what about the public carriers and what are they experiencing right now? What kind of results are they putting out? It's kind of a general update for our followers.
Yeah, certainly. So it's earnings season right now, and I think the themes across the board are really, really similar across all carriers. If you think about the big modes of transportation in the areas that we play, it's trucking, it's intermodal, and it's brokerage. On the trucking side, I think what you're seeing is a lot of carriers recently have moved to dedicated. Paper Transport, we started out with dedicated in 1990, and our bread and butter is dedicated. Those companies are holding up really well. They tend to not sway as much. Maybe revenue's down, truck counts are down to kind of match with customer capacity, but it's a lot more stable in terms of from a rate perspective. What's happening on the OTR side is crazy. I mean, the rates just have bottomed out, and they've been bouncing around the bottom ever since. So carriers that are reporting their OTR results are certainly much smaller than they were last year and significantly less profitable. So you're seeing some pretty ugly numbers there. And then, on the intermodal side, more of the same. It's just been soft. I think there's been a lack of green shoots. I think the big asset players have parked a lot of boxes. You see the releases, 15% or more of their boxes are parked right now, which means there's a lot of excess capacity sitting on the sideline that, it's going to take a while before intermodal really starts to take off as well. So, I don't see things getting worse. We've kind of rode this down. If anything, and any sort of jolt would happen, I think it's going to shoot it in one direction, and that's up. We're kind of living here now. So, and what we've seen in our industry is that can happen at any time. Right. I mean, when you least expect it, you look at diesel prices spiking right now. I mean, if there's some unforeseen event and that shoots way up, that could cause some disruption. Back to the point about the third piece, the brokers. I mean, brokers are reporting, just awful results right now. Right. And if you think about how brokers make money, not only are at the bottom, so revenues are way down, but brokers make money when there's disruption. Right. And when we're living in this stagnant world with little disruption, and this could go on for a while, there's just not that opportunity to kind of make waves as a brokerage. So, I would say I'm more comfortable sitting where we're at because it doesn't feel like we continue to take steps down. Right. But we're just kind of waiting for that uptick.
Right. Yeah. Interesting on the brokerage side. When you talk about disruption, right? We came out of probably the biggest disruption we've ever seen in our lifetime, right? And now we're just kind of waiting on something to hit, something to shake it. And I think that's a really good point. When we were in COVID and post-COVID, that was just such a humongous impact that is just so hard to even measure. But I think now, looking 4 years back at rates, you said it before when we were talking that the rate of inflation right now and the return on a rate per mile for a broker is just so low. So as you think about that, is this sustainable? What levels, can we continue forward operating like this? I mean, obviously we're making do, but when you think about cost and sustainability, where are we at in relation?
Yeah, it's certainly not sustainable. I mean, we're at a period right now where carriers are not making money. Small guys aren't making money, and there's only so long they can hold on.
Right.
And right now, a lot of that is happening. So the rates, they will not exist at this level for a long time unless there's another significant economic, drop off or something. But what will get us out of this eventually is going to be capacity dropping out. And although it hasn't dropped out as fast as we wanted, it's not at a sustainable rate where smaller carriers are making money. And again, that's a bland statement. There are some that are making probably good money, but when you look at the averages, this can't continue.
Right.
So what it's going to mean is it just may be a longer period as capacity continues to bleed out before things stabilize and actually start getting to a point of rates that make sense. Right. So, yeah, certainly not sustainable.
No,
it's just the speed. I mean, I think that's the question mark is the speed at which things start to correct.
Right. So a lot of times we talk, how do you tell when we're at the bottom? And I've heard comments around the industry from other people that, it takes at least one mega to go out. And unfortunately, we saw that happen over the last week and a half. What are your thoughts on that? And is that a sign? What intuitions, what insight can you provide in regards to that whole situation?
Yeah, well, it's pretty amazing. I mean, obviously a top 10 carrier in the U.S., Yellow, goes out of business, 30,000 employees. Again, maybe not directly in the truckload market, but, feel for the employees, the company, as far as the impact on the market. I had held out a little bit of hope that there might be some of that disruption. We might see something in spot rates, and it quietly came and nothing happened. Right. And it just shows how much excess capacity. I think some of the LTL carriers were able to grab some rate increase there, just because there's a story there, and they can. But it just goes to show how much excess capacity existed in the LTL world to kind of absorb a company like that without much hitch. There may be a little disruption in LTL. I'm not exactly sure, but the spillover to truckload is what I would have, I don't even want to say expected, but hoped would happen, and it just didn't. And that's where I go back to the intermodal piece, about that much excess capacity sitting on sideline. It can be a major event, and there's enough capacity there there's a whole bunch to absorb before things actually scream up. So I've always been an optimist. Expect things, to head up, but we have to be realistic in terms of, we need to see some things, to start believing it.
Right. All right. Well, let's finish with a less bleak message here, and looking forward to driver appreciation coming up here in a couple of weeks. As we move into September, always excited to tackle that and get out in the field and network with our drivers. So I know we're really looking forward here at Paper Transport to seeing our drivers and being out there, again, fighting the good fight, doing all the right things that they can do to help us. Anything you want to mention in regards to that topic?
Yeah, it's my favorite week of the year. Yeah. I love it. I love the opportunity to get out and travel and see all the drivers and have one-on-one discussions, and our drivers deserve it and they expect it. Right. So actually, I'm really excited to get out there next week and thank all of our drivers for what they're doing. They're doing a fantastic job. I say one thing when you go back to the bleak message. Yeah. I certainly would say that it's not a bleak message. I think it's the worst is certainly behind us. Right. The uncertainty of the fall. Right. That started really a long time ago, really actually in January of 22 is when things just started falling. They were so high that it didn't really matter. Right. But you go back to November of 22 and you kind of thought it was over, and it just kept falling. But, so I would say it's not bleakness, because I think the worst is behind us, and we're in this period of waiting for the spring up. So, we'll see where it happens.
All right. Like
All
you
right.
said, the eternal optimist, which is fantastic. So
All right.
thanks so much for joining us here at Paper Transport on the What Drives You podcast. Let us know if you want us to hit on another topic that you have interest in the comment box below.